Hello, everybody. Welcome to ClapperCast. I am your host, as always, Carson Tamar, with a very fun group today for a very fun film and film franchise talk about. I am joined by Lena Faulds, Michael Fairbanks. How are you guys doing this fine week?
Pretty good. I'm deciding how much of the Super Bowl I'm going to consume. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided if I'm just watching the halftime show and the commercials or if I'm actually watching the whole thing.
My choice has been decided as just halftime. Lena, are you watching the Super Bowl as a Canadian? I don't think you care.
No, I don't know anything about football. I think it's a really uninteresting sport. I don't understand why it stops every 5 seconds, yet they also have so many injuries. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm a hockey gal, obviously. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I probably won't even watch the halftime show. I like Rihanna, but not enough to go and figure out where to watch the Super Bowl without cable.
Did you say she said she needs more time for an album? She was like, I'm starting on an album, but it might take time. Bitch, it's been like 7 years.
She's busy with her fire makeup line. I've never tried it, actually. I'm a rare beauty gal. But her makeup line is so good. I know my friends are obsessed with it. And she's doing Savage X Fenty. She's doing stuff. She's busy. She's a mother.
Fair,
Leave
okay.
Rihanna
Fair
alone.
enough about the mother part. I don't know. I feel like these people do not do anything with their makeup line, but maybe she's really hands-on.
I feel like she... Go ahead.
She's not like a scientist in the lab, but I'm sure she has input.
How hard is
in,
it to say I want
the
this
colors
color?
and the formulas?
How much time?
Listen, you're a man. You don't wear makeup. There's so much things to it.
You know what?
You could get a blush from the lab and you could be like, I want this blush to have a slightly more pink.
I will have you know,
undertone.
back in
It's
the
leaning
day,
more
I watched the
red.
entire Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star makeup series. So I actually, as a man,
Good
do
God.
know how it works. And it did not seem that hard, but valid, I guess.
You admitted
There's a
that
lot
on
of
the air.
decision fatigue when
I
it
don't want,
comes to makeup.
you know what, it was back in the day. I was in high school.
Oh, I know.
right?
It's just so funny.
You know, fuck Shane, fuck both of them. They both suck. But, you know,
Oh, they're the
we
worst.
stand
And now
Trisha
Jeffree
in this
Star has his
household.
comeback coming.
Can you believe he killed those
Exactly.
yaks? I'm still not over that. That really was the
What?
moment.
He has a ranch.
Yeah, but he
He has a
posted all these
ranch.
videos of oh, me and the yaks hanging out, and then the next video was like, here's their meat. And I was like,
A lot of people who are in agriculture do that. For example, my father.
but your father doesn't post TikToks of painting their nails, you know? I would love it if he did, though. Please.
He does have an Instagram, and it's all pictures of his cows. He doesn't paint their nails or braid their hair or whatever, but he loves those guys. Sometimes I ask him, do you know what cow you're eating? He's like, don't say that to me.
Not me following your father on Instagram, but not you. I'm gonna need that immediately.
You're definitely going to have to lurk the cow account for sure.
Well, you know his name. You'll find it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give you all an update next week on that. But today we're talking about Magic Mike's Last Dance. But first, I want to throw it out to the group. What's our thoughts on the first two Magic Mikes? What's our experience, our history with them? Michael, I'm going to go to you first because I knew from about a month ago, I was like, Michael, I feel like you're going to be on this episode for a reason. So I want you to begin, and then we can just see how we all feel.
So I saw the first Magic Mike in 2012 with my mom in an extremely mentally ill state of mind. In other words, I, until Friday, remembered nothing about it. And then in 2015, 20 minutes after getting dumped at a Chipotle, I walked over to the theater and saw Magic Mike Double XL, completely suspecting that I was just going to have the most okay time. And then it ended up being my favorite movie ever. I think that Magic Mike Double XL is just such a masterpiece and just one of the best kind of portrayals of positive masculinity I've seen on screen. And I'm sure we'll kind of get into that a little bit more. But just as I've kind of gone through the years, that movie has really, every single time I've watched it, just been such a joyful experience, which is not how I would describe the first one, which I watched on Friday. The first one is really dark and goes in a lot of just very seedy directions. And it feels like, in retrospect of the whole series, which I think now feels like it's about someone coming out of a terrible situation and becoming kind of a happy, mature, adjusted stripper. The first one is just feels like it's the thing that everybody comes back from. And I really appreciated the first one on a second watch, and especially just Matthew McConaughey's just absolutely evil performance, which was just it was insane. But yeah, no, I've had such a weird experience with this franchise. I feel like I unlocked two new installments this weekend that like I did like I feel like the first one was like a secret prequel that I unlocked.
I saw the first Magic Mike in theaters. I think I was 15 when it came out. I don't remember who I saw it with. Um, and then I never bothered watching the second one for some reason, even though I remember liking the first one. And like, why would I pass up on the chance to see some hot male strippers? I don't know. Couldn't give you the reason. So I rewatched both of them this Friday, like back to back, and it's like crazy how different the two of them are. Like I really like both of them for different reasons. Like as Michael said, the first one is a lot darker, and like Channing Tatum and Alex Pettyfer's character make a lot of like questionable choices as like they get more and more into the nightlife. And I wasn't expecting the second one to be like just like a really fun and happy like little bro road trip. And I really liked the portrayal of male friendships throughout that. And it was so sweet. And the gas station scene with like Joe Manganiello was so funny. I don't know how I've never seen that before when he's trying to get like the lady at the gas station counter with like the RBF to like crack a smile, and she does. I was like, oh my god, this is like making me so happy. Like I think I like it better than the first one just because it's just like so much happier. It's just so sweet. And I think that's something that gets lost with the third movie, not to like get too far into that right now, but I was like sad that like it does a complete 180 away from like these male friendships, because even in the first one they're like friends even if they are making like questionable and negative choices. So I don't know, I enjoy the Magic Mike franchise.
I'm going to echo what you guys said. For some reason, despite me being very gay and being a Soderbergh stan, I never saw the Magic Mike films before like this year, going into the third one. And I pretty much echo everything you said. The first one, I think Soderbergh is doing a lot of very interesting stuff, especially with the financial crisis. I think it's well acted. The dances are great, like very good drama. The sequel, Magic Mike XXL, also amazing name, best sequel name like maybe ever. Just an incredibly
Yeah.
heartwarming, fun road trip, laugh out loud moments. Like very much so wish I saw that in like a packed theater because I know it'd be fantastic. Leading up to the final dance, which I will say I was on my couch high as a kite and I was screaming. I mean, truly, like one of the most incredible cinematic sequences I think I've ever seen in my life. But I was so as you mentioned, Lena,
What was your favorite of the routines?
definitely the ending when it's the two mirroring each other at XXL, like incredible.
Oh yeah, but Mike and Twitch
Yeah,
mirroring each other. Oh yeah,
fucking amazing.
incredible.
There's one in
Although Matt Bomer's song is a close second for me. I
yes.
listened to that cover of How Does It Feel like just outside of the movie a fair amount.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think there's a sequence in the third one at the end that I was like, okay, where does this rank on dances? And I think it's my number 2 for the series, but we will, I assume, get to that. But yeah, as you mentioned, Elena, Soderbergh is back for the third one. Originally HBO Max original, then it got pushed to theaters, which made me hopeful. And I will say, jumping into the third one, I am very mixed on it. I think it has great performances overall. I think it is trying to do, again, Sonnenberg is kind of trying to reel this in and do something more elevated as far as like, how do we look at dance? How do we look at love? How do we look at communication through physical expression? I think there's something there. The filmmaking's great. It's Sonnenberg, obviously. Everything he's doing recently is incredible. But I guess I'll leave it generally with that positive. The dance at the end is fucking phenomenal with Mike. There are some issues with screenplay, but we will get into that in a minute. What did you guys think of the third Magic Mike's Last Dance?
I went into it really the only thing that I knew was that I was gonna have a really different opinion. Because like I my experience with the series is so weird that to me, like Magic Mike Double XL is the movie, and then the other two are like spin-offs almost. So to like see this one, I really did enjoy it because I just went in without any expectations of it living up to Double XL or the first one, and I just kind of watched it for what it was, and I think that it is a really good throwback to those kind of like 80s romantic dance movies where it's like kind of completely swept up in that love story and unapologetic in that aspect. I think that Channing Tatum and Selma Hayek were really just incredible together. I think the original casting was Thondaway Newton, and while I think that she's great, I don't know if she would have had the same chemistry that her Channing Tatum and Selma Hayek had. And I think that the Selma Hayek character is a character that could have very easily gone off the rails if the actor hadn't had grounded it. And I did just think it was a sweet story. I kind of, in a lot of ways, felt like it was just Ted Lasso with Magic Mike. It's a very similar premise of like this rich lady bringing in someone to fuck over her ex husband to kind of mess with his assets, and she kind of brings in someone who she thinks is gonna kind of like doof it up, but maybe we'll see if there's a comeback, and then of course eventually we get there. But like I don't know, I think that Soderbergh approaches Magic Mike with a lot more restraint than Gregory Jacobs, who made Double XL. And I don't know if that always is a positive. And I also don't know if Double XL has, or sorry, if Last Dance has a character on the level of Jada Pinkett Smith in Double XL, who I think should have been nominated for an Oscar. And it doesn't quite have like that level of a like enrapturing character, but I did really enjoy it.
So I knew that it was like shifting more towards like a romance aspect of it. And I did really like Salma Hayek and Channing Tatum together. They have really good chemistry, especially the like first dance when they meet each other and like how that escalates. I thought that was so well done. I feel like the main issue I had with it was like the play or like the theater production they were doing itself, because it just like made no sense to me. Like I don't know what that play is, like Isabel whatever, and like they kept going on about like, oh, feminism this, women's empowerment that. And I was like, there's just like half naked dudes grinding on her. I don't understand what they're going for. This like theatrical vision is not making sense to me. And so like every time they were in the theater, I was like, I don't care. Just go back to Salma Hayek and Channing Tatum arguing with each other. I'd prefer seeing that. I don't know. I feel like it's like a really huge jump away from the first two. And I was really disappointed that you like barely see any of the other strippers. I forgot what their group is called.
The
Cock
Kings of
Rockin' Kings of
Tampa.
Tampa,
Yeah.
something like that.
The
Yeah.
Kings of Tampa,
I
yeah.
missed them. You only see them in one Skype call and I was like that is not enough. And like I don't understand why they're not there. Like why couldn't Mike have like brought them over to London? I don't
I
get
think
it.
you do miss a lot of that chemistry in the rehearsal scenes. Like I didn't really mind that they weren't there for the romance parts, but I think because a lot of the actors in the rehearsal scenes are actors from the live show that's in Vegas. They didn't even
Mhm.
really try to make them actors, and it was interesting to go back and watch the first one because I think Soderbergh approaches the other guys in a similar way where he just doesn't really let them talk or do anything. And I think if Mike had even brought along just Matt Bomer or just Joe Magniello, it didn't even have to be all of them. It did need that injection of like camaraderie because like you were saying, the play like what they're doing in the play just doesn't make any sense. So there was like there's one scene in particular where Mike is like breaking down how one of the songs is supposed to make the women feel like the song is called, he's like, the song's called Permission, you're supposed to like, that's the sexiest aspect of it, and the other guy's just like yeah man, totally, like there's just no attempt to make them characters, so I totally agree with that.
I'm obsessed that I was just about to bring
Mhm.
up your point from your review, Michael, that I saw on TikTok, and I totally forgot it was your point, and I was totally going to present it as my own that they weren't actors. I will say, we didn't really mention the plot, and I want to get it on record, because I truly feel like this is kind of a Mad Libs of a film. I don't know why no one's talking about like how batshit insane this movie is, that Mike meets this woman going through through a divorce, gives her a lap dance, and then she says, just come with me to Europe for a month. And Mike has no idea what he's doing. They lead
You
into
forgot
this,
that they
they
fuck.
fuck. They walk into this old ass like theater that's very successful. And she's just like, okay, Mike, you're going to do a stage production that's going to be a stripper show, but it's also going to be a play. And I didn't really get why they didn't just hire strippers for the stripper show, but like, regardless, whatever, that's fine. So then this is going to get back at her husband who cheated on her, because it's going to be like a prank that is going to be like, everyone thinks it's just a play and then it's a stripper show. So I was like, okay, that's weird, but I guess it makes sense. Everyone's going to be like, oh, it's all like sexual and that's gross. But then, minor spoilers, they do the play and then, well, okay, so then also, so much, there is an issue with her husband trying to get it pulled because there's a piping issue that turns out to just be a complete non-issue, and this makes her drop out of it. And then they do the show anyway because apparently that did not matter, and everyone loves it. So I really don't get what the prank is, because they just pulled off like a very successful stripper show that all these theater goers just ended up loving. I don't get it, but it's
Yeah.
very wild.
Like, you're telling me that, like, all of those uptight Brits were not, like, offended by the dude just, like, ripping off his underwear on stage? I don't believe you. Especially when they thought they were gonna go see Isabel, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, they're like they're riffing on the old theater piece, and it is really funny how, but like I guess like in a sense it felt realistic to me in the sense that like it is just a bunch of random old people just going to see like some dinner theater play. Like, would they really care if they all of a sudden started just stripping? I'd be relieved personally. That would be a bit like if I thought I was gonna go see some boring ass like old classic like theater piece, and then it's just a bunch of dudes taking their clothes off.
I think that's my
I'm happy.
dream.
I'm getting another drink.
I would have loved Hamilton so
Exactly.
much more if that just started happening midway through. Like,
I think that's the fourth Magic Mike. That there's your premise right there.
I do like the idea that they mix mediums. I would love for them to like have a Broadway show that is like that. That's my vote. But who knows? I
Yeah.
love that if
I
you
think the
want.
live show is like that.
Yeah, well, if you want the entire lore, I don't think any of us have ventured to Vegas to see the live show, but there is apparently a
I want
lore
to.
within that. I want to do it really badly, but it just hasn't come up. So one day out, and we'll report back.
ClapperCast field trip.
Right.
I didn't even know there was a live show. And like, there's like a, you know how like actors have been doing a thing where they say, welcome to my movie before the movie starts?
Yeah.
Channing Tatum and Salma Hayek did that. And they were talking about like the show in Vegas and how there was like a scene, a like dance from that inspired this movie. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I had no idea that there was like a live show.
The only reason the movie got made is because of the live show, because they were going to leave it after Double XL, and then Soderbergh saw the live show and he said that was what made him want to do the movie in the first place.
It's wild.
I will say I think
Yeah, I know.
Soderbergh might be the wrong choice here. That's like one of my takes, is that I think the people from XXL keeping the same story, because you mentioned like how Soderbergh makes it way more focused. You lose a lot of the people from the second film. A lot of just like the focus on camaraderie is lost. I do feel like there is, and like we'll get to my bigger issue here in a minute, but like I do think that is a very key piece here of what should be happening as far as developing the show, developing all these dancers, blah, 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 blah. And like Soderbergh just clearly doesn't care. I really think Soderbergh's vision of this being something elevated was a mistake. I don't think it's like makes it terrible, but I think it's just like not what it should have been. I don't know if that makes sense.
What's so funny is that Soderbergh was the DP of the second one, and that the guy who directed the second one, I'm pretty sure, was the DP on the first one, or like is one of Soderbergh's longtime DP. So it's not like Soderbergh like completely dipped for the second one. He just must genuinely like just have his own take on it, which is just very funny to me.
I mean, I think he shoots it well, right? I think the dancing
Oh,
I just
yeah.
feel like he
great.
makes questionable story choices. I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like the biggest thing for me is there's like occasional narration throughout the film, and I kept forgetting that it was narrated, and it's narrated by Salma Hayek's adopted daughter who like interacts with Mike like twice. And then she sounds like she's writing an essay or something, and they kind of hint that she's writing a novel, and I was like, is she writing a novel about this strip show now? I'm confused. And like then I would forget about her, and then she would talk again, and I was like, what is happening?
I'm
It was weird.
not, I don't think either of you have seen it. If so, very, like, love y'all. But 13 Reasons Why season 4, I believe it was, did the
I've seen
exact,
every single episode, Carson.
no way. I love that for you. They do the
Yes, I
exact
loved that show.
same
It's
thing.
bad, but I
Oh,
loved
it's
it.
terrible, but the best show
Mhm.
ever made. Really sad it doesn't exist anymore. But they do the exact same thing where they have this random side character just add random narration in a British accent. It's exactly the same. It is shocking. I was like, wow, I really am back. And Magic Mike 3, who knew? My biggest issue with the story is that I feel like in the story of Mike learning to love, and this is all about like an exploration of Mike and a narrative journey, I feel like the character of Max is really underwritten, specifically in ways that I personally feel like is problematic. I don't judge anyone for liking the film. I don't think it's like terrible or anything, but like I think there's a reduction of Max, that she is powerless to her emotions. She's lost in her emotions. And the one thing that can pull her out is the sexual work of a man. Specifically, Mike, like, even in the production, she quits over what turns out to be just a non-issue. That she gives up at her, like, a instant article. Even the money she uses on the show belongs to her husband, not her. And then, like, Mike alone, with seemingly like one woman in the room, who, FYI, that hot topic Alina was the most annoying fucking person in this movie, peace and love. Um, just so Mike then just like knows what women want, and then that's also the key to her heart, and he solves all of her issues. I feel like there needed to be more agency within Max's character for me personally, but I don't think a lot of people agree
Mhm.
with that, which is fine, valid, everyone.
No, I agree with you because especially since they're making the play so much about like feminism and women's empowerment and all that shit that like didn't land for me. It's really weird that like Salma Hayek's character is like reduced to that. And I think, is Salma Hayek from Spain or is she like Latina? I don't know. I think she's from Spain. But I feel like it was really giving the like spicy, angry Latina stereotype a lot. Like she would just get really mad over like nothing. Um, and I didn't really like that very much. I feel like the more I talk about it, the less I like this movie, and that's sad.
What's funny is I actually saw an interview with Selma Hayek where she was talking about how she came in really late in the process, and she was like, it was so interesting to see how three men who wrote this movie view this woman. They're kind of like aliens. I think she said they're like aliens. So I don't think it's even lost on her how weird the character is. I do
That's
think she
funny.
played it so sincerely that it did work at the end of the day, even though you're definitely right. Like there are some moments where you're like, where is your head?
I mean, luckily they do have that finale. I mean, not to like really overhype this for anyone who hasn't seen it. I like jaw dropped at Mike's last performance. And after that, you're on such a high. You're like, sure, I love that everyone's happy and everyone's like in love. That's great. I think at least it ends on a really big high note that makes it work.
You know what? I was thinking that whole time. I was like, where did this woman come from? Because, like, I
Oh,
don't
I
remember
know.
her from any of this movie, then all of a sudden she's, like, in the finale, and she's not, like, the lead girl from the rest of the play, so the whole time like, it's a beautiful performance, but I was like, "Who are you?"
What
They
was
don't
so
explain it.
what was so funny to me is it reminded me so much of the "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" scene where like Mac does his interpretive dance about like coming out. It was so similar, just with like the water coming down and just like the even the choreography itself. It was the same dance. It was a great scene, but that's all I could think about the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
Magic
overall,
Mac.
I definitely can have fun with this movie. I would recommend, if you're a fan of the other films, go have fun with like the stripper love story. It's definitely, I think, the worst out of the three. But like, it's well directed. There's a heart here. I enjoyed it overall to a point.
Yeah, I think it just is following up such a great movie. Like I think that's really the main issue. Like I think if this was just a random movie that Steven Soderbergh and Channing Tatum made, I think it probably would have gotten better reviews because I just think at this point the series just has such a long history and it's also there's just such a long time between movies that I think each one really has to be great. And I do really think that they tried to do something new with this one, which I appreciate. Personally, I hope it's not the last. I want them to do one when all of them are like in their late 50s and like they are like trying to like get their like the midlife crisis one. Basically, I hope that's the next
I
one.
sadly think
Although it does
Tarzan won't make it for that one. Looking at how, like, it was shocking. It was shocking sitting in that theater, seeing the progression from even XXL to here. He was always old. That's my favorite part about Tarzan is if you look at the group scenes, he's not even doing it. He just like does the most basic version of it. Here, it looked like he was like, oh, on his way out, like worried.
well, maybe that'll be the plot. They'll get together for Tarzan's funeral.
Listen, Kevin Nash has been through a lot lately. Just leave him alone.
Oh no, we stand.
The man's 63. And he lost his like best friend last year, and he lost his son. He has been going through a lot.
I did not know
Oh,
that. I want to put on the record. I was
Yeah,
not.
Sorry to
I was
burst
not
your
bullying
either.
this man after. Valid. I love him
Yeah.
still.
He's a wrestler, right?
Yeah, he
That's what
used
I
to
thought.
be in the NWO with like Hulk Hogan and Scott Hall. And he's friends with like Triple H and like Shawn Michaels. They're in the Clique. I really like Kevin Nash. I have him on a t-shirt. So I don't know. I just like he's been going through a lot lately. And he doesn't look bad. He just has white hair. He looks really good for a 63-year-old wrestler,
Sure.
actually, in my opinion.
I now know why.
Most of them don't age that well.
I now know why Paul skipped this episode is because he knew this would come up. He was like, "Oh, wrestling."
He's like, "Oh no, Alina's somehow gonna make this about professional wrestling."
I mean, when a wrestler is fully in the movie, I think that's pretty valid.
I think it's valid.
Fully in the movie.
It's also
he does
like,
have that 3-minute Zoom call.
We did. That's the other thing. Like, we don't really know how he looks because I really liked that scene. I actually like thought that they got the camaraderie back really well, especially over Zoom, which is so fucking awkward. But I really liked how they made the Zoom look really shitty because normally like people will be zooming in movies and they're all like with the Ari Alexa like webcam, and like I really liked how no one had good reception at all. So like, to be fair, did we really see what Kevin Nash looked like, or did we just see some pixels that are?
I was not trying to bully Kevin. I was not trying to say he looked dead. I was just saying I was shocked at the white hair. All I was saying, guys, peace and love.
You were just saying, in your opinion, he's not.
I was just. Well, I'm just saying. And he's 60. What, like 5 or whatever. So,
he's 63.
Okay, so like, let's say it takes 30 years for the other people to get like, I'm just saying I don't think he might.
It's not going to take 30 years for the other guys to be in their late 50s.
How old is Channing Tatum?
He's 40.
Channing
I'm saying it would be like in
42.
10, 15 years.
Okay, you know what?
When they're all like 55 plus, I think like that's the line.
Okay, well, Kevin, hold on, because we need you for that then. Do you guys have any last thoughts you would like to say about Magic Mike's Last Dance?
I just think it was good. Like I really did. Like I was in such a position to be disappointed. Like I really was just like, as much as I was fighting the impulse to just be like, this sucks. Like I really didn't really ultimately. What I mean is, I thought I was going to be fighting that impulse the whole time. And then I was watching it and actually was enjoying it. And I was like, I mean, I could just pick this apart, but fuck it. I'm just going to go for the ride, I guess.
Hell yeah. To me, it was just aggressively fine. It's fine. I liked it.
So if you want to see Magic Mike's Last Dance, you can go in theaters right now. I assume it'll be on HBO Max within 2 months. We'll see. Who knows? I don't know how the box office is going.
That's a very generous amount of time.
Right. Well,
it'll be more like a month. Sure. I would say.
I mean,
the fact that it's even in theaters is crazy, with the whole thing of how it was made for streaming, and then Warner Discovery is just so broke that they're like, fuck it, we'll put it in theaters because it had one good test screening.
If only they had
I forgot that it was originally streaming, and when you guys said that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, this feels like a streaming movie.
Oh, it does. It's, and yeah, and like, I was so worried that it was going to be one of the tax write-off movies, like when that whole junk was going on. I was on the edge of my seat because no one was talking about Magic Mike 2, because Batgirl, deservingly so, was the main one. But like, I was really on pins and needles because like it took them so long to make this movie, and that would just be such a classic thing to happen to me, that they would cancel it because of a fucking tax write-off.
They need to keep Soderbergh happy. I mean, if he's gonna just be supplying their original movie releases for HBO Max every year, like you got to keep that man
That's
happy.
very
He's making
true.
what, like 3 every year.
And now he's got a TV series coming. That's the next thing.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it has Claire Danes and Zazie Beetz. It's a good show. Hopefully, yeah.
You're confirming it's good. Got it. If it's not good, I'll blame you.
Having seen 0 frames of it, I really do like Soderbergh though.
I think he's just getting better, and like I love most of his recent work. So
Kimmy was phenomenal.
Kimmy was great. I like Let Them All Talk. I don't know opinions in the room if anyone saw it.
Yeah,
Everyone
same.
else hated it.
Oh no,
but
I liked it too. I thought I'm so glad you're with me on it. That was just such a like old ladies movie, and I was really down for it.
Yeah.
way more than most people. Lucas Hedges just being weird as shit,
Just a weird
just old
dude.
ladies playing board games on the. Oh, I love that movie. That was the most random movie on the
Meryl
planet.
Streep is just reading literally by a pool, like for 10 minutes, and I was like, I love it. I'm here for it. I wish I was.
I did not see that one.
I think you'd like it. It's such a just it like in its own way. It's sort of like Double XL, where it's so much just like we're on this trip and we're seeing what happens, but they're all stuck on a cruise, so it's a little more.
It's like a way less dramatic White Lotus, kind of. Like I feel like nowadays, if it released, everyone would be like, "Oh, it's like the White Lotus," but like. I don't know. I really liked it. You might not.
I love that like people set something at a hotel and they're like, "This is just like the White Lotus."
Yeah,
it's the funniest thing to me. Like when Paul was like, "Oh, Infinity Pool, it's just like White Lotus," and I was like, "Is it? Or are they just at a resort?"
Are they all like really rich in Infinity Pool? That's what I heard was.
Yes, but also it's like body horror.
I don't know. Yeah, the thing is about Infinity Pool, I saw it like a couple days ago. It didn't really feel like any of them were like super, super rich, but like the like fake, like made up country they're in seems just like super, super, super poor that their money just goes a long way. They didn't seem like incredibly rich to me. I think they just like went there to exploit those third world country laws. I don't know though. I didn't really like it. Sorry.
I still haven't seen it because I have epilepsy. So I couldn't risk it.
That's valid.
I was gonna watch it on Hulu and then like walk away from the TV during the strobe scenes.
That's valid. There was like quite a few of them.
So that's what I've heard. Yeah. And they put, it's bad because they put a warning in the movie, as I understand it. Mm-hmm. That's how I was like, because I've risked it before. Like when they have the little sign outside of the theater, I'm kind of like, it'll be fine. If they put the warning in the movie, I'm like, I'm fucked. Like they didn't even do that for Skinamarink, and that was
insane. I just watched that. Insane that they did
right.
That. Right. I just feel like there's no like I don't have epilepsy. I just feel like why put it in a film at this point? I don't know. I really don't get it. But exactly. Valid, I guess.
It's like a crutch for like horror directors because it's just such a like haunted house staple.
I get a
and they don't really think about it.
I just feel like physically ill afterwards. I'm like, great guys, that was fun. Now I'm gonna associate your film with throwing up. Great.
That damn TV in Skinamarink was fucking taking me out.
Honestly, though, I would have also left midway through just because I was so bored. But that's valid. Hated that.
I was frustrated because I liked it, valid. And it was like I thought it was so interesting, but I was like, I'm gonna fully like die if I stay in this theater.
It probably isn't worth it at that point, even if you like the film.
No, not at all. No.
I didn't see that one either. I feel like ever since I quit Twitter, I'm just so out of the loop with movies. And people will be like, oh my gosh, there's like this weird Twitter drama happening. Or like, did you see this on Twitter? I'm like, no, I did not. Happy for you, though.
Unfollow everyone. And Elon Musk, thank you, added the following tab that's separate than the For You tab. So now I literally click following. I read 3 tweets and I'm done for the day. My dream.
I love
and
that.
None of them are film related.
I don't know. I've like quit for like 2-3 months now that I feel like I would just like lose if I went back on Twitter. Can't do it to myself, not yet.
I don't blame you.
Maybe one day I'll cave, but not yet.
Meanwhile, I live there. I'm just sitting there scanning.
I used to live there, and now I have other hobbies. So that's
wow. What's that like?
I took up embroidery. If you did not hear, and it's sick. Do you want to see the little things I made? Our listeners don't care, but I have to show you.
They're cute.
I bought these like little embroidery kits off Etsy. I
I
made
love
this
that.
koala bear. I made this elephant. I made this panda bear. I think it's the best one. And then I made this sloth.
Adorable.
And I ordered 6 more that are coming on Tuesday, so stay tuned. It's so fun. And they take me like 6 hours. So like I'm just like sitting there watching Yellowstone and just like shoving needles through cloth. I'm like, this is so relaxing. I love my life right now.
That
So I don't
Love
explains how
that.
you
understand
watched.
taking up a
That
craft.
explains how you watched all of Yellowstone in about a week. Every day you were like on the
Yeah,
new
I watched
season.
5
I'm
seasons of
like,
Yellowstone
what?
in a week. It's so good, and I just, like, had to know what happened because it was, like, one of those shows where it ends on, like, a cliffhanger, and I was like, "Shit, I need to know what happens next." And I just really like most of the characters, and I'm mad that, like, shows are doing this thing where they split, like, seasons into, like, season 5 part 1 and season 5 part 2. That's annoying. They're doing that with You right now. I finished You season 4 part 1 yesterday, and I was like, "Why do I have to wait a month to see the second half? It's not even that good of a season. Why'd you split it in half?"
The
That's what happened.
Yellowstone stuff is there's do you know about all the Kevin Costner drama with Yellowstone?
I heard my friend told me that he, like, won the Golden Globe and, like, now he, like, might not come back for season 6 or something, and that
Yeah,
he might be replaced by Matthew McConaughey, and I don't
yeah.
understand that.
No,
Also,
exactly. He
they're
doesn't want to
doing a
film for long.
Texas spinoff. Why wouldn't Matthew McConaughey be in the Texas one?
That you know what that is valid. I
It's
really
true.
feel like that
Mhm.
is where he should be. But yeah, no. Apparently, he doesn't want to like film for more than like 60-ish days per season because he's like directing a movie now, or he's about to. So and he's just been on Yellowstone for so long that he's just like done with it. So I
That's
think they are
fair.
cycling him out for McConaughey. It's wild that Matthew McConaughey hasn't worked with Taylor Sheridan yet. Like that's crazy to me.
Mhm. I need to watch some of the spinoffs, at least like the one with Harrison Ford, but I haven't.
Gotta get
I
Maybe
haven't
once
seen
I
Paramount
that
get
one
the
yet.
new
Plus.
embroidery kits. I got the stupid like Amazon Prime Paramount Plus extension. And then I canceled it and I'm waiting for Yellowstone to come back and then I'll get it again.
That's valid.
Because I only work part-time now for an evil fast fashion corporation, so I can't afford to be paying for Paramount Plus monthly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's valid.
Yeah.
I only have it because a friend of mine works at Paramount.
Life hack.
They let right
That's very
exactly.
valid.
They let him password share.
Well, good thing he doesn't work at Netflix now.
Right,
Shout out
right,
Netflix for
exactly.
giving me a free account. Keep that going, please. Because I will not pay for your service otherwise. Um, I don't know if we have anything, but let's go to our rapid reviews for the week on anything you've seen this week that you'd like to talk about, new or old. Alina, have you watched anything, or do you want to just talk about Yellowstone?
Um, well, other than Yellowstone and You, I've not really been watching movies. You season 4, I was so excited for it to come back. Like season 3 was crazy. And then season 4 happened, and I don't give a shit about any of those rich British people. They're such uninteresting characters. And like I feel like Joe is like majorly hating on the like eat the rich killer. And I get that because he's a murderer, but those guys are such assholes that I think I'm on the serial killer side. I'm just like really sad and disappointed about this season. The first episode was like good, and then I got bored, and I'm sad.
It kind of seems like Penn Badgley's at the point where he's like done doing it too.
Yeah,
I only got to like the third season like about midway through, but I like in his interviews and stuff, I'm really getting the impression that he's like, all right, this was a lifetime show I was supposed to do for one season, and now it's a whole
yeah.
commitment.
I think especially with like how many like women are like obsessed with Joe, and he hates that. I think he's just like so fucking over it.
And the sex
Um,
scene thing too, where like apparently he
mhm.
said he didn't want to do any more sex scenes. I'm sure that comes across in the new season. I haven't seen it, but I feel
Yeah,
like he's
yeah.
Joe is a lot more chaste than ever, which is saying a lot.
hmm I don't know. It's weird. I feel like there's no point in them doing a season 5 of You, but it is one of their more popular shows, so I don't know. What have you guys been watching?
Michael?
Um, yes, yesterday I saw the Bollywood movie Pathan, which
Did
is
you like
like,
it?
yeah, it was really good.
Okay.
It's like a kind of like Mission Impossible spy, like kind of You know what it actually is? It's two like hot spies going up against each other. It was like if the Gray Man was good, and
Didn't you
anyone who
like the Gray
follows
Man?
me knows. No, no, right. I was about to get there. Anyone who follows me knows that the Gray Man was a major guilty pleasure for me last year. But like, it's not like a good movie. This sort of like has the same kind of like setup, but it has the really kind of inventive like Bollywood action, and all the actors are just so charismatic. It has two absolute banger songs. It was my first Bollywood movie that I've ever seen in theaters. I had a blast.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
probably gonna
It's
go back.
playing at my local theater, and I was so shocked. So I think I'll go see it on Tuesday or something. And then I remembered there's so many Indians in my hometown now. Like it's crazy. Everywhere I look, there's a brown person, and I love it. It was not like that 20 years ago. I was like, where were you guys when I was getting called a Paki on the playground? So like stoked that there's enough of them that I can see a Bollywood movie in a theater. I've never seen a
I
Bollywood
love that.
movie in a theater actually.
I've not
It was a
either, I
blast.
don't
No,
think.
it's definitely worth seeing in theaters. It like the action in it is big, and like there are definitely like bits and pieces that they fill in with. I I'll generously say cartoonish looking like CGI here and there, but like for the most part, it's really like big practical action. Definitely worth seeing. Like definitely go in a theater. I feel like it wouldn't hit exactly the same. Also, just major buy panic if that's the anyone who's reviewed the movie has said that, but it needs to be said in any scenario. It's also just very funny because the main character is named Patan and the villain is named Jim, and it's just like, and Jim, who I found much hotter than Pathan, by the way, is like a full domestic terrorist, and just half the time they're like, "We need to stop Jim." It cracked me up.
Is Shah Rukh Khan Pathan?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, makes sense. I
The
love
guy
that
who's like
movie.
I'm not, I don't like have all their names met, but the guy who was like a major Bollywood star who like
Yeah, that's
had
Shah
never
Rukh.
played an action role. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he's my
he's
second
Pathan.
favorite Bollywood actor. My first favorite's Hrithik Roshan. So every time Hrithik Roshan's in a movie, I will watch it. But like Shah Rukh, not as much. I like him, but not as much.
He was very good in this. Very
Okay, if you
super
liked it,
charismatic.
you should watch like any of the like action movies that like Hrithik Roshan is in. He's really good in the Krish movies. He plays like it's like an Indian superhero movie, and they're so good.
Ooh,
They're bad, but they're really good.
I will.
And
I'll
he's
absolutely.
hot. He's hot. Okay. What did you
No
watch,
pressure, Alina.
Harrison?
If you see it in theaters and want to do an episode, reach out because I would be down because I can also see it, and I think it would do
Okay.
banger number wise.
You're talking about the Pathan?
Yeah, you're also of course invited
I'll go on it.
if you want. Yeah,
Yeah.
no pressure, but if you want to, I am down. I just need to
Okay.
go see it
I'll
this
go
week.
see it on Tuesday.
Okay, I'll see it this week also then. I am not going to mention any feature films, but I will mention I started diving into the Oscar shorts after accepting that I wasn't going to do it because I was like, fuck, I need to watch these. And one I want to mention is I cannot pronounce any words, so if I get this wrong, sorry, I went to speech therapy. You can't blame me. It's called Halal, I think. And it is just this guy who goes to this cabin. It's like 20 minutes long. I think it's on YouTube. And he just is surrounded by walruses. Adult, like hundreds, thousands of walruses. He's sleeping in his bed, and outside the window, there's just like hundreds of walruses, all with their faces, their big, fat, cute faces pressed against the window. And it's very sad at the end because he has to count how many die during this thing. But like, it is also the most adorable documentary short I've ever seen in my life. And it really made me be like, how do I do this job? How do I just be surrounded by giant, dumb, blubbery walruses? So I just highly recommend that because it is fucking adorable. If you don't want to be sad, though, turn it off before the last like 5 minutes. But that would be my mention. Where can we find everyone on social media? Michael?
King of Burbank on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all the stuff.
Alina?
I am at Alina Falls on everything, but I just use Letterboxd right now.
Valid. And you can find me on Twitter at BP_movie reviews, Letterboxd just Carson Tamar. Thank you so much for watching/listening. We'll be back next week to discuss all things cinema. Goodbye.